what I hope for regarding effective learners and students, the big priorities would be to help students become more self-motivated and self-directed. That will help their own success, both academically and in their behavior and their study habits and everything, if they're more self-motivated and self-directed. Not to say that they should be completely independent. They should, be able to think they can go to the teacher for help, or to be able to help and be helped by their classmates. But to be more self-motivated and self-directed would help them in the present class and future classes and as an adult. I'd also like to help students to have high expectations for themselves. Not just that I have high expectations for them, but that they would have their own high expectations for themselves, so that they can expect that they can do better than what they are, that they can expect that they can succeed and achieve, because they can. And part of my goal there is to help them to have that perception and to hold those high expectations for themselves. As to effective curriculum, objectives, and lessons, I hope, really hope, to have clear and specific objectives. I think that would be helpful to me. I think that would be helpful to the students. I think that would be helpful to substitute teachers. I think that would be helpful to parents. I think it would just help everybody. A lot of that I know will be determined by state standards and possibly school curriculum. But my own particular objectives I would like to be very clear on. I would also, for my own objectives, and hopefully for the objectives I might have to use or adapt that are already determined for me, that they would be made with Bloom's different level of thinking in mind, which is actually kind of ironic because it's about thinking. I didn't intend for that to sound like that. But I think that would be good to help the students to develop their different levels of thinking, and just to activate their brain in different ways than the traditional, you need to know this, you're going to be tested on it, and to go a little farther and say, do you understand what you know? That's just kind of the bottom of where Bloom's taxonomy is, so that they'd be able to go beyond that. Not that that stuff isn't important, but they're more of building blocks to higher thinking, such as analysis and synthesis, and being able to compare things, and kind of do some application for themselves. I'd also hope to have lessons planned from good and specific objectives, such as I've noted before. I'd like to have clear, specific objectives. And part of that is so I can base my lessons on it. And I'd also have goals in mind that I could base my lessons on, such as what do I want my students to know? What do I want them to be able to accomplish? What do I want them to demonstrate? And be able to base the lessons on that. And this next daily lesson plans was something that I hadn't really thought much about. I mean, I'd thought of, having planned for, like, split up in a week or something, what I would be wanting to teach, but the daily lesson plans, as it was in the resources, emphasized the importance of not only having a lesson plan for the day, but making a lesson plan for the day for that day. So what you're planning to teach that day will be in your mind, and you'll know where you're at, and your students will be able to follow you too. So that's beneficial to both you and your students. And it will help you to keep on schedule and stay organized, which are some things I really hope to strive for. So doing daily lesson plans would probably be really helpful to me, especially in determining where I want to where I want to be at in the content for the day, and how to tie that into yesterday and tie that into what I'm going to do tomorrow. Effective classroom management. This is something I don't really have a whole lot of experience in that I would like to develop. I would like to have classroom procedures in place, which are different than rules. Procedures kind of deal with how like a routine operates, like I discussed earlier, and help get the academic work done and the technicalities done. Not having to do so much with behavior, more like what's expected, type of academic work. And if those were in place at the beginning of the year, that'll help, routines and everybody to be in habit. So then we could focus more on the actual material rather than trying to explain how to write a certain type of paper or how to make a certain type of a project, or how we go about different things within the classroom if that's set up in a kind of an established procedure. I'd also like to have classroom rules in place. I think from what I've read and seen that having student involvement in the making of the classroom rules would be very helpful in them taking ownership of it and wanting to actually follow them. But to have them in place at the beginning of the year would be good, especially when I get to just starting teaching. I think that'll be a great help to me. And I'd also really hope to further develop and establish a discipline policy and be consistent with it, so that the students will know what action equals what consequence, particularly for negative consequences. But I'd also like to be able to have positive consequences for following good expectations. I still have to develop my discipline policy further than what I have, but tentatively, I would hope to go with a more positive form of discipline, such as when a student would violate a classroom rule, or they would just kind of not be courteous or not be following directions and that sort of thing, that they would get their attention called to it first, and if that didn't make them stop, then I would kind of address them and ask them to tell me what were they doing, and have them respond in kind. And if need be, if I would have the consequences already set out, I would be asking them, what should happen because of this behavior, and then they could tell me that, and so that would be kind of like they would be agreeing to what would be taking place, and it wouldn't necessarily be in a negative sense, as in it would just be a logical consequence to their behavior. But also, I would like to incorporate the positive aspect as, what positive behavior could we do to replace this unacceptable behavior? And as much as possible and reasonable, I would like to incorporate that in. So, aside from making up for mistakes, kind of doing replacement behavior instead. And I realize that won't work for everything. I know there'll be some things that are more serious than that either the student won't be compliant, or it'll just be so serious of an infraction that I'll have to get help out on that. But on a normal basis and an ideal basis, I would hope that that sort of a thing that puts the student in responsibility for their behavior and in agreement to consequences would be something I would like to develop in my classroom. And I know there's a lot more that I need to learn about an effective classroom. I thought I knew a lot before I started taking this class. It was made quite apparent that I don't know as much as I would like to, but I would certainly like to learn more. And I have learned a lot more and been illuminated to a lot more through the taking of this class. One of our first assignments for this class was trying to describe what we thought an effective classroom would look like, what that would mean to us. And a lot of the points that I had made on that assignment still ring true, but they're more defined to me now than what they were before I took the class. And I could certainly add some more to them now. And I'm sure before even I become a teacher, I'm going to be adding and enriching that list in my mind. But an effective classroom, I believe the main components are, again, an effective teacher or teachers, effective learning environment, effective learners and students, effective curriculum, objectives, and lessons, effective classroom management, and effective communication. Thank you.